while I'm doing this. Okay, so we're full circle in terms of I'm friends with Corsi, but the QAnon thing has gone too far. People have no real basis for vetting any of the data that comes out, and now we're in a permanent circle jerk mode, and it's great. Thousands of views every day, and lots of people in the Discord having this intellectual circle jerk about. These people, these are the same people. A lot of them who believe Assange is suddenly a turbo conservative. Remember when everybody was misinterpreting the Michael Moore footage, where they're like, "Oh, look, Michael Moore is advocating for Trump," because they misinterpreted a clip out of a larger speech. He was literally palling in June of 2006. He was literally palling around. I have a shot of it. I'll put it in the video of him meeting with Assange during this time. And you notice one of the only vectors to come out of the Rosenstein thing is the media now quoting then candidate Trump saying, "Come on, Russia, help me hack the DNC." Well, what was that an homage to? What was that not an homage, but it was a reference to Assange, who is a globalist. He's a puppet of the globalized intelligence community, which is at war with, basically Trump's CIA, the Pompeo CIA, which is not like, you can't just say the CIA. It's like saying, and by the way, the St. Petersburg media shop that these 13 trolls are from it's not linked to the Kremlin and Putin. It's actually linked to Navalny, the same people who put Navalny into created him. In other words, the same Bolsheviks that the Putin faction chased out, those many years ago. But people don't understand this, and they think that because there was if you look at the Ukraine flap, they were obviously running counter-gang, right? But it would be like saying that BuzzFeed and the Washington Post speak for Donald Trump. That is literally what they're saying. When you say that these 13 trolls from the St. Petersburg Internet Research Agency are Kremlin Putin puppets, you're literally saying that the Washington Post is a mouthpiece of Donald Trump. That's the equivalent of what you're saying. It's bizarre. Anyway, so we're full circle now on the Dallas gold bugging. It's not just plants. It's not just enemy plants and useful idiots. It's just genuine naivete and people looking to farm clicks. So now we all look embarrassed. Now we all look like idiots. Because somebody read a 4chan post and ran with it without doing the legwork. This tendency to just call everybody a crisis actor instantaneously. Obviously, because here's the thing. There is clearly a cabal, an entire permanent operation that hovers and waits for any such incident, engineered or otherwise, waits for any such incident so that they don't let a good crisis go to waste. We know that empirically. We know that there's this apparatus that will not let a good crisis go to waste, and they are using these kids. See, but that's the thing. That's true, and that should be the thrust and the core thesis of our argument. But instead, we end up immediately having the entire argument refuted because they're like, you guys are conspiracy theorists because of this Dallas gold bug. Look, let's do some image comparison, and these are all crisis actors. So then the media can go, see, look at these crazy morons. They even flagged like Rush Limbaugh and said Rush Limbaugh says it's all crisis actors. So, whether or not the Dallas Goldbug et al. Community are enemy plants, useful idiots, or simply morons, lazy morons looking to farm clicks, at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. What is relevant is that our ability to diagnose publicly and suss out such issues is not just hamstrung, but completely imploded by these types of activities. And I would bring, for contrast in here, I would, not just somebody like Assange, for instance, but I'd come back to the Cernovich thing. You have guys like Cernovich or Posobiec or... and Posobiec's not that bad. He's actually pretty good. But he's a useful idiot. He's pretty good, like Sean Hannity is good. And Sean Hannity has sit-downs with Assange and holds his hand. while Assange is palling around with fucking Noam Chomsky and Michael Moore. It's like everybody's a moron. It's like I'm surrounded by morons. I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. First mate, who made that man a gunner? I did, sir. He's my cousin. I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. So, we all have egg on our face now, and we're not really able to. Because here's the thing: we all already know this shit stinks to high heaven, right? We don't need to convince ourselves. It's like we don't need to do base galvanization. You know, we need to convince the people who don't understand this stuff, and it's almost impossible now to do that. It will be impossible now to do that, at least with this story. We'll have to wait for the next one. It's a lot like the Ben Shapiros and the Cernoviches and just other people who...
Careful, you idiot! I said across her nose, not up it!
Sorry, sir. I'm doing my best.
Who made that man a gunner?
I did, sir. He's my cousin.
Who is he?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
And his cousin?
He's an asshole, too, sir. Gunner's mate, first class, Philip Asshole.
How many assholes we got on this ship, anyhow?
Go!
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Keep firing, assholes!
I mean, that's one of the clear analogies here, I think, is fires. You know, we have firemen because you can't stop fires from happening. You can be as safe as you want. You can practice fire safety. You can have all the regulations and rules in the book. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this shit's going to happen. And that's why we have fire extinguishers. Right? Why do you have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen? Are you afraid of fire? Are you, you know... Like, I think of the ridiculous arguments that get made against, like, teachers CCWing, right? Are you afraid of fires? Is that, you know, try to belittle you and emasculate you? No, we have them because no matter how safe we are, fires still happen. Shit still hits the fan. No matter how safe we are, no matter how circumspect, shit still hits the fan. And when the shit hits the fan, you gotta have paper towels to clean it up. It's just, there's no getting around it. It doesn't matter how much we would like that to not be the case. You know, our proclivities and our, you know, naivete notwithstanding, shit is gonna hit the fan. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And so we have fire extinguishers ready to go, on hand and ready to go, and people need to know how to use them. Even if you have all the fire extinguishers in the world, if you don't understand how to operate them effectively, they're not going to do you much good. In fact, they might end up getting you killed because you're going to go into the equation thinking, you know, I can resolve this problem. You're going to put yourself in a position where maybe you painted yourself into a corner because suddenly you realize, oh shit, this implement, or it's like if you don't check them. You know, you got all these fire extinguishers, but if they're not charged, they haven't been charged recently, they don't work when you go to use them, you could end up putting yourself and everyone else into a very bad situation, where otherwise you could have just got the hell out of there. You know? But that's not an option. In a active shooter scenario, that is not an option. The only option, and this has been the truth, it was true 1,000 years ago, when people had bows and arrows or whatever, and it's true now. The only thing you can possibly do is have equipped personnel in the target area ready to operate. And anyone who says otherwise is either an amateur and a novice, or they are deliberately lying in order to push some kind of an agenda. Nobody who suggests any of these absurd things would be taken seriously in the security services industry. You know, because we know, having not just trained but run security, having done PR and investor relations for numerous security companies, I can tell you, within the industry, this is this sort of logic, if you want to call it that, is anathema to the entire operational profile. It doesn't work, and it can't work. You know, so these arguments are absurd. And if we wanted to really be serious about it, if we really want to stop this, I'll go beyond what I said yesterday. I'll go beyond yesterday's talk on this. And we should be giving away the bullets for free. We really serious about CCW teachers? Well, here's the thing. Not just free classes, not just free training, not just free licensing. You know, you get a 5-year license even. Extend the period. Give them a 5-year license, and it doesn't cost you a penny. Let's go one step further. Let's set up a program where at qualifying ranges, they could go and shoot for free. You really want, because it doesn't do any good to have the tool and not know how to use it. So, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Should we quote Rahm Emanuel? Should we quote Saul Alinsky? Never let a good crisis go to waste. I mean, come on. And so naturally they send in useful idiots and all kinds of other people to subtend the credible core thesis argument with Dallas Goldbug-esque, you know, image comparison, nicery, and naivete, so that they can, by osmosis, refute the core argument. And this is not a new tactic. This is not something that, you know, has just suddenly begun to present itself. This is a very old tactic that we should all be familiar with by now. So, anyway, that's the deal, and you all know it. I don't even need to say any of this. I don't need to record this or upload it, because you all know already that this is the case. See, here's the thing. Arming the teachers is not just about preventing this from happening again. It's from heading off at the pass the Australization of America. You know, they did this in every country. They did this in the UK. They did this in Australia. Every Western country has gotten rid of guns because of a school shooting, ultimately. And they're going to keep working. They're going to keep incrementally destroying the culture by having the NRA sign off on encroachments on the Second Amendment, to the point where the country is full of people who don't understand what it's even about. And on the other hand, you know, pressure from above and below. They're going to have more and more events like this go down unchecked, so that they can make the case and not let a good crisis go to waste. So we have to head off the entire phenomenology at the pass by delimiting the event structure in a fundamental way, you know? And it's about more than just saving lives. It's about ensuring that the millions and millions of people who died, you know, whether it was Magna Carta or 1776 or just liberty, the cause of liberty and justice, you know, that they did not die in vain, because a handful of kids, losing a handful of kids is nothing compared to the millions and millions of people who have laid down their lives for the cause of liberty over the centuries. I mean, it's nothing. It's not even a drop in the bucket compared to the millions of people. And I'm not just talking about people who, like, you know, ran into a hail of bullets and once moored onto the breach. I'm talking about people who lived under tyranny and you know, oh, how we burned in the camps, to quote Solzhenitsyn. They made an argument here, among others, during release of the memo, about that nobody bothered to pick up on or echo or anything, about how a lot of this was to fundamentally undercut the functionality of the FBI moving forward. And I could tease that out and explain how previous to the current administration the FBI was completely hijacked, and how it's just now getting back on the road to something resembling the nation's top law enforcement agency. But my argument was about how it is being undercut, how this part of this whole thing is not just about going after the president, it's about diminishing the functionality of the DOJ and ensuring that the FBI remains hijacked, essentially. And now we have this big public event with the Parkland shooting that helps to reinforce that undercutting. Not that anybody cares. Yeah, they play right into it. Even Rush is like, the FBI dropped the ball God knows how many times. And I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying it's not still a completely hijacked. I mean, we're talking about the organization that helped, I said this yesterday, helped handheld Matalib, helped him cook the bomb with World Trade Center 1, right? The World Trade Center 1 attack. God knows how many. We're talking about the people responsible, essentially, at some point, responsible for Ruby Ridge and Waco. I mean, we're talking about, how many people were at Waco? A fertilizer bomb doesn't do that to a building, etc., etc., etc. We all know this. This is not new information. So I'm not saying that there isn't a historical lack of credibility there. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons we took a risk with a guy like Trump, is to try to restore some sanity to agencies, as I said yesterday, like the FBI, to try to restore them to their mandate. But, I made this excellent point that nobody picked up on about how the Rosenstein memo, released the memo, or not the Rosenstein, I'm not going to go into all the people involved, but a lot of useful idiots on both sides. What do we call it? Just the memo. Let's just call it the memo. Our memo, apparently, because let's have this other memo and not release that one. But how part of this was just to undercut the the perceived credibility and functionality of the FBI, so that the DOJ could be delimited moving forward. And now here we have Trump again harping on Jeff Sessions today. Nobody can figure any of this out. Nobody can figure any of this out, apparently. Apparently we're not serious about the real pressing issues, which is what the FBI and DOJ should be focused on. Right? We're going to try to press these secondary issues, even though the entire thing is a completely synthetic engineered psyop. I'm referring to the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. And everybody's off in the weeds or dicking around in the foreground analysis as usual, and that is just the reality. That's the new normal, apparently, and there's nothing that we can do about any of it, people like us, because we've hit peak guru, where it doesn't matter what you have to say or how credible it is or how intelligent the analysis is. What matters is how many followers you have on Instagram. Celebrity is the disease. Celebrity is the disease that is killing our culture. And until we realize that the history of the human species has been plagued by elitism, with the vast majority of the humans being farmed by a tiny handful of elites, like Tyson farms chickens, and celebrity, this concept of celebrity, of official experts and celebrity and guruism, underpins the entire methodological implementation of elitism. Until we really comprehend this, we're not going to get anywhere. Some of you already know that, of course.